I found out my wife was pregnant, but the child wasn't mine. It belonged to my younger brother. The hardest blow? My own mother knew the entire time and tried to hide it. She apparently thought I was better suited to handle the situation, since I had the stable job, the house, the savings, the future. Once I confirmed the betrayal, I didn't waste a single day. I filed for divorce and told my father everything. From there, he took charge. I'm 31, working as a project manager for my father's construction company in Denver. I've been putting in the work since I was 15, starting as a laborer, moving up through every stage. I now earn about $85,000 a year before bonuses, and I own my own home, bought before marriage, which has since gone up in value by nearly 6 figures. My ex-wife, Laura, 29, works as a nurse, making roughly $70,000 annually. We met when she was still in nursing school. Back then, she was driven, focused, ambitious. I thought we were chasing the same dream. Looking back, I can see I ignored the early warning signs, like when she flirted with a bartender during our very first date. My father, Raymond, built everything he has from scratch. He started out in construction at 18, carrying lumber and framing walls, while taking night classes to learn the trade. He clawed his way up to running large-scale commercial builds through grit and discipline. He has zero tolerance for laziness or excuses. My mother, Helen, couldn't be more different. She left her clerical job years ago, and now spends her time shopping and gossiping, doting on my younger brother, Adam, like he's some sort of golden child. She acts polished in public, but constantly stirs up drama behind closed doors. Adam, 26, has survived purely on charm. My father brought him into the business with a basic admin position, answering phones for $55,000 a year, hoping it would motivate him. It didn't. He strutted around as if the company should be thankful for his presence. My dad tried assigning him to outdoor crews, thinking the physical labor under the Colorado sun might toughen him up. But Adam rarely lasted more than half a shift. Meanwhile, I was out there sweating, learning every trade: electrical, carpentry, concrete, drywall. By 20, I was supervising housing developments. At 24, I earned a performance-based promotion. Adam, on the other hand, retreated to the office to play the executive dressing in designer clothes and leasing an Audi like he'd made it big. At family dinners, Mom praised him for trivial things like showing up on time, while I was managing multi-million-dollar projects. When I bought my house, Adam joked that I was lucky. When I got promoted, he muttered about family favoritism, ignoring the decade I spent earning it. 2 years ago, he ran into debt, trouble, credit cards, loans, the usual story. Dad lent him $11,500 with a promise to repay it. Adam made a few payments, then stopped. More excuses, no accountability. In the early years of my marriage, Laura and I functioned well together. I handled the finances and house maintenance. She cooked and managed our social life. Sundays were our sacred ritual. She'd cook elaborate meals that reminded me of my grandmother's kitchen. We had plans. Solid, long-term plans. After our 3rd anniversary in October 2022, we started trying for a baby. She went off birth control. We tracked her cycle and even picked out names. Then, in January 2023, Dad landed a massive hospital renovation. Our biggest job yet, 6 months, $2 million. I was appointed lead manager. Hospital builds are grueling strict regulations, constant inspections, no margin for error. I worked long hours, weekends, holidays. At first, Laura was supportive. She'd bring dinner to the site, talk about our future, help me decompress. We planned to use the project bonus to pay off the mortgage and start investing. But something shifted. She began spending more time with a coworker, Natalie, a cheerful travel nurse always up for spontaneous adventures. Suddenly, Laura was out 3 or 4 nights a week, and our routines fell apart. I was too consumed with work to see what was really happening. By February, her schedule became suspicious. She used to work 3 regular shifts, now she claimed extra hours, sudden trainings, surprise emergencies. Meanwhile, Adam started showing up when I wasn't home. Dropping off coffee, fixing little things around the house. I thought maybe he was finally maturing. Maybe taking initiative. I couldn't have been more wrong. While I was managing the biggest project of my life, my brother was sleeping with my wife in the home I had built for us both. At first, his new attitude fooled everyone. He ditched the flashy wardrobe, showed up to work on time, even stayed late. Dad started believing he'd finally turned a corner. When the hospital project wrapped up early in March, on time and under budget, I was ready for normalcy again. But Laura's excuses persisted. Late shifts, extra duties, last-minute crises. And now that I was home more, the cracks were obvious. Every Friday, she withdrew exactly $200 cash. When I asked, she said it was for girls' nights, so she wouldn't overspend. Sounded harmless, except we used to track every penny together. Suddenly, she was hiding transactions. Her phone was glued to her hand. She'd be smiling at the screen, then quickly flip it over when I entered the room. "Just work messages," she'd say. By April, the physical signs appeared. Laura started throwing up every morning. I asked if she was okay. She blamed a stomach virus, claimed she was seeing a doctor, but insisted I didn't need to come. I'd been tracking her cycle for months. She was 3 weeks late. That had never happened before. When I mentioned it, she snapped. "Stop monitoring my body like I'm some experiment!" she yelled. The anger was sudden and irrational. At the same time, Mom started acting strange. She stopped calling our landline and started whispering with Laura on her cell. I'd catch bits of their conversations. "He can't find out," behind closed doors. Mom and Laura had never been close, yet suddenly they were allies. Once, I walked in mid-call. Mom's tone instantly changed. "Oh, Nathan's home. I'll call later," she said before hanging up. That moment flipped a switch inside me. I began noticing every inconsistency. Laura's so-called trauma shifts left her spotless no exhaustion, no smell of antiseptic, no evidence she'd worked 12 hours. Then, one Tuesday in April, my truck broke down. I hitched a ride home with a coworker, arrived 5 hours early, and heard laughter coming from the living room. Laura's laughter, the kind I hadn't heard in months. I rounded the corner and found her sitting far too close to Adam on the couch. Their posture screamed intimacy. They jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Laura's face went white. "What are you doing home?" she stammered. Adam fumbled, spilling his coffee. "Just dropping by, thought she might need company." I said nothing, but inside I was burning. That night, I didn't sleep. My gut told me what my brain refused to accept. Her erratic hours, the secrecy, the pregnancy symptoms, Adam's sudden maturity. It all fit together. The next morning, I started digging. I checked Adam's company truck logs. Every vehicle had GPS tracking. His records showed repeated visits to my neighborhood during my work hours and to expensive restaurants and hotels around Boulder, nowhere near any job sites. I compared those with Laura's work schedule. Every time Adam's truck appeared somewhere suspicious, Laura's shift changed. She always had a new excuse. Then I went through our joint bank account. The pattern was undeniable. Every Friday, she withdrew the same amount of cash. Payments popped up to luxury restaurants, boutique hotels, spa resorts. On days she swore she was working double shifts. $185 at Fleming's on a Wednesday. $240 at the Four Seasons Spa on a Thursday. $98 for brunch on a Sunday. She claimed to cover a sick co-worker's shift. I started keeping a detailed log. Her claimed schedule versus verifiable data. The evidence stacked up fast. To confirm my suspicions, I called the hospital pretending to be a relative with an emergency. The nurse on duty told me Laura hadn't worked there for 3 days, yet she'd told me she just finished a 12-hour night shift. That was the moment everything clicked. The next day, I told Laura I wasn't feeling well and would stay home. She left for what she said was a mandatory training. The second she walked out, I opened our shared family computer. Same password since our anniversary, Team Lawson 2019. My hands trembled as I logged in. Right at the top of her inbox was a thread titled, "Making Sure Nathan Never Finds Out." It was from my mother. My stomach dropped. I opened it. The messages stretched back months. At first, the emails were cautious. My mother asked if Laura was certain about what she was doing, suggesting maybe it was just a phase. But soon the tone changed. They started coordinating. My mother was actively teaching her how to lie, what shifts to claim, what excuses to use, even how to manage her schedule to keep me unaware. She offered her own house as a meeting place when my father was away. One email from early March hit me like a hammer. Raymond's out golfing Thursday afternoon. He won't be home until 6. If you park in the alley, Adam can come through the side door. I'll make sure no neighbors notice. Another. Say you're working the night shift Tuesday. Raymond has a client dinner until 10. The house will be empty. Adam told his roommate he's on a job site overnight. Then came the part about the pregnancy. In April, Laura's appointment confirmed she was 8 weeks along, but there was uncertainty about the father. My mother's reply made my skin crawl. It doesn't matter. Let Nathan think it's his. He's responsible, stable, ready for a family. Adam isn't. He can't handle that kind of burden. Nathan will do the right thing. He always does. Another message. Adam isn't built for real responsibility. This way everyone wins. You get security, Adam avoids being tied down, and Nathan finally has a family to keep him grounded. Laura hesitated. She asked what would happen if the baby resembled Adam. My mother's response was cold and calculating. We'll deal with that later. Just keep Nathan convinced everything's normal. Be intimate with him often enough to make the timing believable. I sat frozen, reading line after line, each one worse than the last. The people I trusted most, my wife, my brother, my mother, had turned my life into a stage play, and I was the fool acting out their script. I saved every file, screenshot, and printed the worst exchanges. My hands shook, but my thoughts were razor sharp. Then I called my father. Dad, I need to see you. It's serious. 20 minutes later, I was in his office, laying out everything. The affair, the pregnancy, my mother's involvement. He said nothing for a long time, just stared at the evidence. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm but lethal. This is war, he said quietly. Meet me at Mark's office in 2 hours. We're locking this down legally before you confront anyone. Mark Ellis had been our company's attorney for years. Disciplined, surgical, and absolutely ruthless in family cases. My father had already called him. Inside his office, we spread out the documents like battle plans emails, GPS records, bank statements, call logs. Mark read through them with the steady calm of a surgeon. After 20 minutes, he looked up and said, You're in a good position. The house is pre-marital property safe. We can file fast, protect your assets, and keep everything contained before they realize what's happening. His instructions were simple but decisive. Move all joint funds immediately. Lock down retirement accounts, record every interaction, and avoid any confrontation until legal protections were in place. That afternoon, I went to the bank. I moved $92,000 from our joint account into mine, leaving $4,000 behind to avoid suspicion. I documented all premarital investments, $140,000 in stocks and retirement under my sole ownership. Meanwhile, my father executed his own plan. He called the office and had Adam's access revoked. No more company truck, no cards, no login privileges. Our admin manager, Linda, was told to deactivate his badge. By Monday, he couldn't even open the building door. I closed all our shared credit lines, except one with a small limit, just in case. That night, while Laura showered, her phone buzzed. The preview message was from Adam. Can't wait to see you tomorrow at Mom's. Dad's got that client meeting, so we'll have time. Don't forget what you picked up yesterday. That was all the confirmation I needed. I took a screenshot and forwarded it to Mark. He replied within minutes. That seals it. Move forward. She can't contest. The next day, I called my father. It's time, I said. He didn't ask what I meant. He just said, let's set the stage. We decided to host a family dinner at my house that Saturday. Dad told Mom and Adam separately that I had big news, a promotion, maybe an announcement about a baby. He let them imagine whatever suited their lies. When I told Laura about the dinner, she froze. Her smile flickered. "What's this about?" she asked. "Just a family dinner," I said lightly. "Thought it'd be nice." "Do I need to make anything?" "I've got the food covered." That seemed to unsettle her even more. She kept circling the kitchen that night, asking what the announcement was. I just smiled and told her to wait. Saturday came. I set the table carefully, every plate, every fork positioned just right. At my seat, I placed 2 envelopes, one for Laura, one for my father. The first held the divorce papers. The second, printed copies of the worst emails between Laura and my mother. I also prepared a check for $11,500 repayment for the loan Adam had never returned. My father would get his money back before the chaos started. When Laura saw me cooking, she seemed anxious. "You're acting weird," she said. "Just making sure dinner goes smoothly." By 7, everyone arrived. Mom first, wearing pearls and her usual fake smile, hugging me like nothing was wrong. Dad followed, quiet and unreadable. Adam showed up 20 minutes late, wearing a silk shirt and that smug grin he always wore when he thought he was untouchable. He clapped my shoulder. "So, what's the big news? Don't tell me Laura's finally pregnant?" The words hit differently, knowing the truth. He grinned like he'd just scored the winning goal. Laura wouldn't look at me. She poked her food, avoiding conversation. Mom filled the silence with chatter about friends, fashion, the usual noise. After dinner, Dad raised his beer. "All right, Nathan," he said evenly. "You've got the floor." I stood up. My pulse was steady. I handed the first envelope to Laura. "I do have an announcement," I said. "These are divorce papers." The room went silent. You could have heard the refrigerator hum. Laura went pale. "What?" Mom's hand shot to her chest. "Nathan, what are you doing?" I ignored her and handed Dad the second envelope. "That one's for you. Emails between Mom and Laura. Months of coordination behind my back. Adam's involved too." Dad opened it. He didn't speak as he read, but his jaw tightened. Adam stood up suddenly, knocking his chair over. "You hacked her email? That's illegal, man." "That's what you're worried about?" I said coldly. "Not the fact you were sleeping with my wife?" Laura started crying. "Please, Nathan, I can explain. Don't. It's over." Dad flipped through the pages until he reached the one where Mom instructed Laura to time her lies around his golf schedule. He looked up at her, eyes burning. "Helen?" he said quietly. "What the hell is this?" she stammered. "Raymond, I was trying to protect the family." He slammed the papers on the table. "Protect it? You destroyed it." She turned defensive. "She's the one who seduced Adam. I was just trying to keep it from ruining everything." Adam chuckled, blood rising to his face. "Come on. Everyone knows Laura needed attention. Nate was never around. I just filled the void." That was when I lost it. I didn't yell. I didn't think. I just moved. I came around the table and hit him square in the face. His nose broke instantly. He fell backward, crashing into the cabinet. Mom screamed. Dad stood up slowly, voice low but deadly. "Get him out." Adam groaned on the floor, blood dripping down his shirt. "You can't mean that, Dad." "I do," my father said. "You're fired. You're done. You're not my concern anymore." Mom tried to intervene. "He's your child." Dad looked at me. "No, this is my son." Laura sobbed. "Nathan, please, the baby might be yours." "Then we'll test it," I said, calm again. "But it changes nothing." I handed my father the check. "For what you lent him. He won't pay you back, but I will." Dad stared at the check, then at Mom. His voice was cold as winter. "Helen, get your coat. We're leaving." They left, slamming the door behind them. The house fell silent. The only sounds were Laura's sobs and the hum of the fridge. She looked up at me, eyes red. "What now?" "Now," I said quietly. "You pack your things. You're done here." I didn't shout. Didn't need to. The authority in my voice said it all. The house was mine long before her. She nodded, trembling, and went upstairs. I stood there in the ruins of my life-broken plates, a blood-stained floor, the smell of roast still in the air, and for the first time in months, I felt peace. The divorce moved fast. The evidence was overwhelming. Laura tried to push for alimony, claiming emotional distress and unequal earnings, but Mark crushed her argument with a single motion. She had a full-time income, a nursing license, and zero legal standing to demand support after documented infidelity. Colorado might be a no-fault state, but judges still consider betrayal when dividing assets. In the end, she walked away with her car, her clothes, and nothing else. The house, investments, and savings stayed with me. When the DNA test came back, it only confirmed what I already knew. The baby wasn't mine. Laura moved in with her friend Natalie for a while, the same travel nurse who'd covered for her so she could sneak around. But that didn't last long. According to mutual acquaintances, Laura became unbearable, crying constantly, asking for sympathy, borrowing money, and refusing to take responsibility for anything. Within 2 months, Natalie kicked her out. Dad, true to his word, dealt with Adam. He terminated him officially from the company, revoked all references, and called around the local construction network to make sure no one else hired him. Word travels fast in this industry. Within weeks, Adam couldn't find work anywhere in Denver or Boulder. The financial faucet closed too. No more company card, no car allowance, no bailouts. He lost the leased Audi after missing payments. Within a month, his credit cards were frozen, and he was begging Mom for help. 3 weeks later, he was arrested for driving on a suspended license-expired tags. No insurance, no registration. He spent 2 nights in county jail. Dad didn't lift a finger. When I asked him if we should bail him out, Dad said, "Let him sit. Maybe that'll teach him what the world's really like." Meanwhile, Laura made a few pathetic attempts to crawl back. She emailed, texted, even showed up at the job site one afternoon, claiming we could work through it, that we were stronger than one mistake. I didn't even respond. She sent another message later, trying to blame me. Said I was too focused on work, too emotionally unavailable, that she felt lonely. Classic cheater logic. Destroy everything, then act like the victim. The part that satisfied me most, though, was watching how my father handled Mom. He didn't explode, he calculated. Quiet, methodical, devastating. Turns out he'd already been suspicious for a while. He'd noticed unexplainable credit card charges, cash withdrawals, and new debts. After everything came out, he had Mark order a full forensic audit of their finances going back 2 years. The findings were brutal. Mom had been secretly funneling around $3,000 a month to support Adam covering his car lease, rent, and even paying off some of his gambling debt. She'd opened 2 credit lines in her name, taken a personal loan, and even pulled out a second mortgage behind Dad's back. She'd been bleeding their finances dry while playing the picture-perfect wife. 6 weeks after the dinner, Dad filed for divorce. He was 58, and he was done being lied to. Mom lost it. Screamed, begged, said he was tearing the family apart. But he didn't budge. He told her she'd done that herself the day she helped destroy her son's marriage. This time, the divorce wasn't quiet. It was public, messy, and final. Dad kept the company, the house, and most of the joint assets. Mom walked away with her personal belongings and a small savings account that she'd drained herself. With no career to fall back on, she had to get a retail job working at a department store, earning barely above minimum wage. The same woman who used to snap at waiters and lecture cashiers was now bagging groceries for people younger than me. Adam moved in with her, into a rundown 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of the city. He tried calling Dad, begging for forgiveness, saying he'd changed. Dad's response was the same every time. "You made your choice. Now live with it." It was harsh, but fair. The last I heard, Adam's working the graveyard shift at a hardware store, unloading freight for barely enough to cover rent. He used to joke about how manual labor is for suckers. Now it's his only option. Laura gave birth to a baby girl in December. She's living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, working extra shifts just to afford daycare. Life's been cruel to her, but I can't bring myself to feel sorry. Then, 3 months later, came the most absurd part of all. Mom and Adam showed up at my door, uninvited, unannounced, standing on my porch like nothing had happened. When I opened the door, Mom smiled like we were all just one big happy family. "Nathan," she said sweetly, "we need to talk." "What about?" I asked flatly. "The baby," she said. "She needs a father figure, and you're the only one stable enough to give her that." For a second, I thought she was joking. But she wasn't. She went on, saying I should do the right thing, put my name on the birth certificate, help pay child support, and even assist Adam with his mounting legal bills so he could get back on track. Their justification? We're still family. "Everyone makes mistakes," she said. "The child shouldn't suffer." I just stared at her. "You mean the child that came from my wife cheating on me with my brother, with your help?" Mom sighed, like I was being unreasonable. "Nathan, you've always been the responsible one. You can rise above this." I stepped aside and pointed toward the driveway. "Get off my property." Adam started to say something, but I cut him off. "Don't ever come here again." When they refused to leave, I called the police. The officer who arrived recognized me from a previous job site inspection. After I explained everything, he nodded sympathetically. "You're smart to keep your distance," he said. "People like that don't change. Let them face their own consequences." They left finally, and I haven't seen them since. It's been 8 months since that night. The night my entire world collapsed and rebuilt itself at the same time. The first few months were rough. I felt hollow, 30 years old and starting over completely. But distance from toxicity does something powerful. It clears your head. My relationship with Dad has never been stronger. After the dust settled, he made me a full business partner and transferred 40% ownership of the company to my name. We've been expanding ever since, branching into commercial real estate development, taking projects in Fort Collins and Albuquerque, even looking at opportunities in Las Vegas. Without Adam dragging the business down, we've gained new clients, landed bigger contracts, and built a reputation for reliability that our competitors envy. 6 months after my divorce was finalized, I started dating again. That's when I met Sarah, an architect, specializing in hospital and research facility design. We met at a development conference in Vegas. She's independent, sharp, confident, and grounded. Everything Laura wasn't. With Sarah, there's no drama, no mind games, just mutual respect and shared ambition. Being with her feels like breathing fresh air after years of suffocating in smoke. Every now and then, I still hear about Adam or Laura through mutual acquaintances. Adam's burned through several jobs already, still blaming bad luck for everything. He's been written off by half the construction network in Colorado. Laura's no better. She tried posting on social media for financial help, pretending she was a single mother abandoned by a cruel husband. It backfired immediately. People who knew the truth called her out in the comments, exposing everything she'd done. She deleted her accounts after a week. Mom, on the other hand, has tried contacting Dad through old friends, claiming she wants to make peace for the family's sake. He never responds. His message hasn't changed once. You made your bed. Now, lie in it. He's thriving. He bought a cabin near Estes Park, spends weekends hiking and fishing, and says he hasn't felt this free in years. Sometimes, I think about how everything might have gone if I hadn't found the truth. I might be raising someone else's child, still living a lie, surrounded by people smiling to my face while stabbing me in the back. Instead, I've rebuilt something real. If there's one lesson this entire ordeal taught me, it's this. When people show you who they are, believe them. Don't wait for proof. Don't make excuses for them. Don't hand them second chances they haven't earned. Family isn't about shared DNA. It's about loyalty, respect, and standing by each other when it matters. Adam and my mother failed that test spectacularly. Dad and I passed it. And honestly, the sweetest form of justice hasn't been revenge. It's been watching their worlds collapse while mine finally comes together. Seeing Adam drag himself through dead-end jobs, Laura struggling to survive, and Mom forced to live the kind of life she used to mock that's justice. And for me, that's more than enough.